everybody, it's Amanda, and we are continuing our Bible study. Today we're in Matthew chapter 5. We've been going through the book of Matthew, just seeing the life of Christ, and so we've seen where he was born and raised and came into manhood. He was baptized, he started doing ministry, started preaching and healing, and followers have been gathering, and everything was according to prophecy, and how Christ now has come to this place. And we are going to hear him actually teach his disciples. You know, he's giving this what's called the Sermon on the Mount. So he went to where he was accessible to the people and kind of started talking to them, you know, wanted to give them encouragement. And he's actually made it accessible to us too, in that he's put it in the Bible, and that it's my cat, and that we can, you know, read it here and we know the thoughts that he had on his mind. So I want to remind you that this book was also written by Matthew, of course, through the Holy Spirit, to the Jewish people. And so it's got a very specific goal in mind. So he starts the book with some encouragement, and we're going to start in chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." So all of these blessings that he is given, it's all kind of backwards than what people might expect. You know, they were thinking that they would, and this word blessed means happy. You know, you're happy if you're mourning. You're happy if you're poor in spirit. All these things didn't quite make sense, and he's trying to explain to them the reason why they can be happy is because theirs is the kingdom of heaven, because they'll be comforted. You know, you have to look at it with the right perspective and see that the Lord's going to work in your life, and that is what is going to bring you joy and happiness. And he actually brings it down at the end of that section, talking about you should even be happy if you're going to be persecuted, people are going to revile you, all of those things. And again, that's speaking directly to the Jewish people here. Matthew is letting them know that, you know, people might persecute you. There might come a time that people are going to talk about you, say things against you falsely, because that was probably a genuine fear of people who were considering Christ. He's like, listen, you don't have to be afraid of that. You can actually be happy, because the reason why is because that was what happened to the prophets before you, but the point is that they were right, and they were in God's will, and that's where you actually need to be. So he goes on and he says, verse 13, "Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is then thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." So again, he's saying, you know, don't be ashamed. Don't let yourself become a waste. This whole idea of salt that can't get its savor anymore. It's not good for anything. You know, don't let your life go to waste. Let it be purposeful. Be a light. Share who Christ is with others. It was very important. Those who might have believed but were kind of hesitant to say anything is like, listen, don't be afraid. Go on out there and share it. So then he says, and this is, I think, probably the most pivotal thing in terms of relating specifically to the Jews. He says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again, there's this idea that, they keep pointing out in chapter after chapter, the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, all these people that are in leadership, spiritual leadership, they have things wrong. And it was identifiable. The people understood where they were doing things wrong, and he points it out here, that they might have said the right thing, but they weren't doing it, which is just evidence that it really wasn't in their heart. They didn't really believe it. They were just telling them what they should do, but if they really believed it, they'd be doing it themselves. So he's again saying, you have to, if you really believe the Lord, if your faith is really true, then your response will be to follow the words of God. And if your response is not that, then it's not true. You don't have true faith. Genuine life-saving faith is not just lip service. And he's rebuking these Pharisees who seem outwardly holy, but inwardly were not faithful. And that's something very important to differentiate between. So Christ then expounds on some things that they might have heard, but he was clarifying their meaning. So remember that Satan, he attacks by twisting God's word. So he kind of clarified these things and made it easier for the people to understand the depth of the law, because they were just kind of taking it at face value. So here we go. It's all the things he says. Verse 21. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the utmost farthing. So here he's clarifying some things within personal relationships. It's not just enough to say, well, I haven't physically murdered anybody, but your attitude toward other people is important. It's being angry with them. It's talking, saying mean things to him, saying thou fool or Raca, which is, was kind of a bad word. And not just lean on, well, I'm bringing my gift to the altar, I go to church, all the things that seem holy is like, put that away and go handle your situation with your brother first, and then come and deal with this. The whole attitude they had towards other people was in the wrong place. And he even said, with your adversary, you should straighten things out with your adversary. Don't let it continue and go long, because if it does, there's going to be consequences from that. Stop letting the fights go on, and instead figure out a way to come together and agree. It was just too much bickering, and that was, in his mind, all of this was in that same section as murder. And people were saying, well, haven't murdered, check that off the list, I'm so holy. And he's saying, no, you're just as bad with your attitude and the way that you treat other people. So verse 27 said, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. But if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off, and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. So again, they're expounding on this idea, because he's starting them saying you shouldn't commit adultery. And so they probably thought, well, I haven't physically committed adultery, so I'm in good shape. But he goes and explains all of these things. Simply looking at someone to lust after them. It's, again, not just the physical act. It's the heart matter that made the difference. It's how you treated other people. It's all of our relationships that we're not handling them in the right way. And we think just because we haven't gotten it to the greatest level that we're not guilty at some place. There's guilt. There's guilt there. And we have to start behaving in a way that's right, that glorifies God and honors him. Verse 33 says, and again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, or yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. So again, just making sure the things that are coming your mouth are true. Make sure they're spoken wisely. You don't have to swear by certain things. In fact, you shouldn't. None of those things are yours. So how can you swear by them? Instead, just be honest, be truthful. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Verse 38, ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. So this is saying, we need to be more giving. People ask something, give them extra. If they want you to do something, do extra. But even to the point that he talks about, even if someone smacks you on one cheek, let him have the other one also. It's like, stop trying to defend yourself and just give of yourself and let the Lord worry about any vengeance or anything like that. The point is we have to be more giving and loving. The whole idea of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, we're going to talk a little bit later about treating others how we want to be treated. It might sound really, like something you would want vengeance-wise if you're doing eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth to someone else. But if it was you wouldn't want that to you. You would want mercy. So just this idea of giving and loving and being merciful, that we need to change our attitude. Again, this is a heart attitude. Verse 43 says, you've heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven which is imperfect. And which is perfect. Which is in heaven is perfect. There we go. So again, this whole idea here at the end is very distinct, I think, to Christianity. I don't know anywhere else that anyone's going to tell you to love your enemies. I mean, that's just not something that comes naturally. That's something that you really have to depend on the Lord for. And in the example that he gives us, the Lord himself does it. He lets the sun shine on the the good and the evil, and the rain come for the just and the unjust. And that is his heart, that he wants to be giving and loving to everyone, even those who hate him. So if he's going to love his enemies, then we have to love ours. And it's very distinct. That at the end, he has this idea of be perfect as he is perfect. It's the thought of being a grown-up, not like a child. Kind of like put on your big boy pants and get it together. Start doing things right, not just living by the letter of the law. It's the details and the things underneath that really make a difference. So if we have any questions, we need to go to the Lord with those questions. He had this whole Sermon on the Mount, this idea that, there were clarifications that need to be made. And sometimes we wonder, well, what about this or what about that? And God's word is there. And I think he's pretty clear about the expectations that he has for his people. But if you have an issue, go to him about it. You can ask him. But make sure you're not just looking at the surface. We have kids, and so many times our kids will say to us, well, you didn't say we couldn't do this, or you didn't say we had to do that. But what we intended, they knew what we intended. And sometimes we don't want to actually listen to what we know is true because it's not spelled out for us. But I think if we really seek the Lord, he'll show you exactly what he means. But we do have to look into the depth of his meaning. But toward the end, it's again, are we pursuing the high calling of Christ? Are we hearers of the word, or are we doers? This whole thing with the Pharisees and the Sadducees was that they were saying it and they were hearing it, but they weren't doing it. It was hollow. How's our faith? Has it extended to our behavior? Are we making right choices? That's the direction we need to go. So anyway, next time we'll finish the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to do 2 chapters in 1. So come back next time and we will finish this. It's going to be really good. And that's that. So again, you can message us at info@thefundamentalhome.com. I'll have a link down in the description box. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below as well. We would love to hear them. And of course, we're live every Thursday night here, my husband and I. So come hang out with us and we can chat about God's Word. So, all right, you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.